For nearly a month, the world was told this case was closed. The shooter was caught. The evidence was airtight. Justice was served. But justice, true justice, has a way of coming back to haunt those who try to bury it. A rooftop, a single rifle, a man gunned down in what authorities called a straightforward attack. They told us it was Tyler Robinson, acting alone. They told us the investigation was fast, thorough, and final. But what if I told you that was only half the story? What if I told you there was another angle investigators never showed you, one that could change everything you thought you knew about the death of Charlie Kirk? Tonight, we're not just revisiting a case, we're reopening a wound. Because a single newly surfaced video threatens to blow this case wide open. And if what it shows is true, the real story of that night is far darker than we've been told. Charlie Kirk wasn't just another name in a headline. He was a father, a husband, a man with a family who believed in him, who loved him. On the night of his death, he wasn't doing anything extraordinary, just walking back from an event. Moments from home, moments from safety. According to investigators, the story was simple. A lone gunman, Tyler Robinson, positioned on a rooftop overlooking the street. A single rifle shot. Charlie Kirk dropped instantly. Within hours, Tyler Robinson was arrested. His DNA was allegedly found on a towel that had been used to wrap the rifle. Investigators claimed they had a partial note from his apartment, suggesting intent. To the public, this was an open and shut case. But that speed, that certainty, has always been the most unsettling part of this case. The media branded Robinson the villain before the public had even learned Charlie Kirk's funeral date. No lengthy manhunt, no days of speculation, just immediate resolution. It was too neat, too clean. And as anyone who studies these cases knows, when the narrative is that tidy, you have to stop and ask yourself, who benefits from closing a case this fast? And what might they not want us to find? The case against Tyler Robinson came together faster than almost any case of its kind. Investigators pointed to 3 critical pieces of evidence: a weapon, DNA, and a note. The rifle was discovered abandoned just blocks away from the scene, carefully wrapped in a towel. Forensic testing revealed a clear DNA match to Robinson on that towel, a match prosecutors would later call definitive. Then there was the note, burned at the edges, partially destroyed, but still legible enough, according to authorities, to reveal a motive. A single line allegedly read, "Tonight ends it all." Finally, investigators said the timeline sealed it. Robinson's phone data placed him in the area minutes before the shooting. Witnesses claimed to have seen a man matching his description heading toward the rooftop. 1 + 1 + 1. Rifle, note, timeline, equal guilt. Or at least, that's what we were told. The case was packaged neatly, handed to the media, and within hours, Tyler Robinson's mugshot was on every network. He was the face of the crime, the villain we were meant to accept. But here's where things start to fracture. There were no fingerprints on the rifle itself. None. The DNA wasn't found on the weapon, only the towel. And that note? Experts quietly admitted later that only 3 words were legible. The rest was speculation. If you build a case on 3 words and a partial match, is that really an airtight case? Or is it a rush to put someone behind bars? From the outside, it looked like investigators had done their job. But the closer you look, the more you see cracks forming. From the moment news broke, the community felt a strange mix of grief and unease. Students who were near the scene swore they heard gunfire coming from more than one direction. One shot echoing from the rooftop, another from street level. Multiple 911 calls reported overlapping sounds. And yet, the official story never mentioned a second shooter, never even entertained the idea. Then there was the timeline. Several witnesses claimed they saw Tyler Robinson inside a gas station, nearly a mile away, just minutes before the fatal shot was fired. Security footage from that station was reportedly collected by investigators, but it was never shown publicly, never entered as evidence in court. To this day, no one outside law enforcement has seen that video. Neighbors also reported suspicious movement on adjacent rooftops that night. Shadows, quick flashes of light. But their statements were labeled as unreliable, chalked up to panic in the chaos of the moment. Online forums lit up with theories. People questioned why the investigation wrapped so quickly, why every uncomfortable detail was brushed aside. Some accused authorities of rushing to judgment to calm the public, to avoid admitting the possibility that a second shooter was at large. And then came the whispers that investigators might have ignored key evidence entirely, that critical footage existed but was never reviewed, that someone, somewhere, was keeping the narrative simple for a reason. But rumors alone aren't proof. And for days, they remained just that, whispers. Until now. Before we go any further, I need to pause and ask you something important. Stories like this don't get told on their own. They get buried. They get forgotten. And families like Charlie Kirk's are left in the dark while the rest of the world moves on. If you believe that truth matters more than convenience, if you believe that cases like this deserve the full story, hit subscribe right now. Don't let this case fade into silence. Don't let these unanswered questions get swept under the rug. Your support keeps this channel alive, keeps the pressure on those in power, and helps make sure stories like this never disappear. Subscribe, turn on notifications, and let's keep pushing for the answers Charlie Kirk's family still deserves. Days passed. The case faded from headlines. Tyler Robinson sat in custody awaiting trial. And then, out of nowhere, everything changed. An independent researcher, combing through security archives from Utah Valley University, uncovered a single, unmarked clip. The footage was grainy, but clear enough to see what mattered. And what it showed turned the entire case upside down. The timestamp matched the day of Charlie Kirk's murder, almost to the second. The camera, positioned across from the rooftop where Robinson was said to have been, captured a flash, the unmistakable flare of a rifle shot. But that's not all. Just seconds later, a shadowed figure moved across the edge of the roof, pausing for just a moment before slipping into the darkness. This figure didn't match Robinson's build. In fact, experts who analyzed the footage concluded that based on height markers in the frame, this individual was at least 4 inches shorter than Robinson. And there's more. The time code proved that Robinson could not have been on that roof at that moment. According to cell tower data, he was already in police custody when this clip was recorded. The video wasn't a glitch. It wasn't an illusion. It was real, authenticated by multiple independent analysts, which means someone else was there, armed, firing, and never named by investigators. For the first time since that night, the narrative cracked wide open. This wasn't just about a lone shooter anymore. This was about a second person at the scene, a second rifle, and a question no one in authority seems eager to answer. Who was this figure? And why was their existence kept from the public? This single piece of video evidence doesn't just challenge the state's narrative, it obliterates it. If Tyler Robinson was already in custody when this shot was fired, then either there was a second shooter, or Robinson was never the shooter at all. And that raises chilling questions. If there was another person involved, why weren't they mentioned? Why wasn't this footage presented in court filings or to Robinson's defense team? Was it missed in the initial sweep? Or worse, deliberately ignored? Some legal experts have suggested that the rush to close this case may have backfired. In the eagerness to present the public with a suspect, investigators may have latched onto the first viable lead, building their entire case around it while dismissing anything that didn't fit the narrative. There is also the darker possibility, the one no one wants to say out loud, that someone somewhere chose not to follow this lead because it would unravel everything. Imagine the political fallout if prosecutors had to admit they might have charged the wrong man. Imagine the lawsuits, the appeals, the public outcry. And then there's the most haunting implication of all. If this second shooter was never identified, never questioned, never arrested, then they are still out there, free, unaccountable. And if that's true, then Charlie Kirk's killer, the real killer, may have walked away that night, disappearing into the shadows as the public was told the case was over. This isn't just about one case anymore. It's about whether we can trust the systems meant to deliver justice. It's about whether closure was prioritized over truth. Behind every headline, there is a family that wakes up every morning with the same ache, the same questions, the same silence. Charlie Kirk's widow believed the case was over. She believed the man accused was the one responsible. She believed justice had been served. Now, imagine her hearing about this video. Imagine watching the footage, frame by frame, realizing that the person her children have been taught to hate might not have been the one who took their father away. Imagine learning that someone else, someone never named, never caught, might still be walking free. For the Kirk family, this isn't just about reopening an investigation. It's about reopening wounds that never fully healed. It's about nights spent wondering if the man they buried was denied justice, if the truth was smothered under convenience. And it's not just the family, it's the community. It's the students who still whisper about that night. It's the neighbors who never quite believed the official story. It's everyone who trusted that justice had been done, now faced with the possibility that they were handed a lie. Because when justice is built on shaky ground, no one stands secure. When the truth is buried, the entire community is left grieving in the dark. Tonight, we've seen the cracks in the story we were told. We've seen the rifle, the note, the timeline, and we've seen the new video evidence that turns the entire case on its head. If this footage is real, if a second shooter was there that night, then justice has not been done. Not for Charlie Kirk, not for his family, not for anyone. This is bigger than one man behind bars. This is about a justice system that cannot afford to be wrong, but might have been. It's about what happens when closure is treated as more important than truth. And that's where you come in. This can't end here. Share this video. Demand answers. Comment below. Do you believe there was a second shooter? Do you believe this was a cover-up? Or was it all a tragic mistake? Let's make sure the right people are forced to face these questions. If you haven't already, subscribe to this channel and turn on notifications. Because we are not done. We will not stop asking the hard questions. And we will not stop shining a light on cases like this until every last detail is uncovered. Silence protects the guilty. Truth protects us all. Silence protects us all.